Hi everyone and welcome back to the Upside Dan. This is another episode of Deep Dive into the Upside, and we are going to be discussing full spoiler review and recap of episode 8 of WandaVision. So as always, there are spoilers in this video. This is my complete spoiler recap and review. Time codes, they're down in the comment section and in the description below. Make sure you're checking out all my other WandaVision content. I've done these deep dives for every episode so far. I will, of course, do it for the finale next week. Probably going to do it for the Marvel's Assembled documentary show about the making of WandaVision. And honestly, probably a short review for the whole series. And then a deep dive review for the whole series. Because I love this show so much. And, of course, after that, you can look forward to my other Marvel show reviews. Including The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, coming in March. WandaVision, Episode 8. Previously on. Wanda embarks on a troubling journey, revisiting her past for insight into her present and future. This episode starts out with a bang, a dark, kind of horror-esque kind of bang. We get a flashback to the Salem witch trials. Agatha, it's been Agatha all along. She's walking with her coven and she's, getting tied up. They're gonna do something to her, probably like either punish her, kill her, take away her powers, something like that. And her mother is there, we find out, and they're sending their powers to her. They're hurting her. She's like begging. She's like, no, I didn't do this. They said she stole some knowledge that wasn't for her eyes. She uses her powers back on everyone, turns them all into basically skeletons. They all die, except for her mother. Her mother's flying up, and her mother is trying to take her one-on-one. Agnes ends her mother's life as well, and takes the amulet, the necklace that we see Agnes wearing throughout the show. Then we get back to where we left off last week, in Agnes, or should I say Agatha's basement, and I might be calling them Agatha throughout this whole show. But that was just such a great startup and lead to, back to where we are in the present. It was a dark scene. It was a well executed, very well executed scene, an eerie scene. And Kathryn Hahn, just throughout this whole episode and through the whole show, obviously, is just amazing. She puts on a phenomenal performance. She really does. She does the great next door neighbor, the nosy neighbor. She does the great friend, the great enemy, and the great Agatha, the great villain. So we get some answers throughout this whole episode that I was really, intrigued by, and I was pretty much, happy with. Definitely, pleased with what we got in this episode. So we have Wanda. She's trying to read Agatha's mind, but she cannot, and Agatha tells her that you can't read my mind, dear, basically. And then she says a funny comment about her accent. She's like, that accent really comes and goes when it wants to, or whatever. Agatha, has her up in her powers now. She's, using her powers to hold her still in the middle of the room. We find out that, Wanda can't use her powers in the room because Agatha has a hex on it. Only the witch who summons the runes can use her magic. So Agnes summoned runes, to protect a protection kind of thing in her basement. So only the witch that summons those can use her magic. There's a comment about Pedro. We get that, she is controlling Pedro. She didn't make him. She is, she summoned Pedro to play the brother role. And she says, Pedro, or I like to call her Fatro. I thought that was pretty funny. Then she opens up this door to the side. And I'm like, oh, they're going to go to the past. They're going to go through Wanda's memories, and it is what they're gonna do. She lets Wanda down. Wanda's like, no, and Agnes is like, do you remember who has your kids? And you hear Billy and Tommy yelling for their mom, and Wanda and Agnes go. They start out back with Wanda's parents the night of the tragic bombing. And Pedro's there, Wanda's there, the parents are both there. The dad just got there. He has a box of sitcoms. So we get kind of the answer. She's been watching these sitcoms. We see that throughout all the flashbacks through this episode. The box has Bewitched in it. The box has Malcolm in the Middle. It has I Love Lucy. But it's not any of the ones that she's looking for. Wanda wants to watch the Dick Van Dyke Show. They have a special complete season. She picks a certain episode, and they watch it as a family. And it's a very surreal and heartwarming scene until we get to the meat of it. But it's I love it. It felt like childlike wonder almost with, Wanda just looking at this screen loving it, loving spending time with her family, loving watching the Dick Van Dyke Show and the romance and the family moments and the funny moments on screen. She just looks at it with such, awe, wonder, childlike wonder. And then we get the bombing, which might be a jump scare for some, not for me, but I could see it. There's definitely more horror elements kind of sprinkled throughout this episode, kind of like we got, at the end of the big Agatha reveal episode last time. The bomb happens, Wanda and Pedro get under, the table or the bed or whatever. They can't go, the bomb is about to go off, it seems, and the TV's still working somehow. I don't know, maybe now looking at it, maybe Wanda was using her powers, or the TV just got lucky. And the Dick Van Dyke is still showing. It's, it's kind of showing, a happier memory that just happened moments ago, but now it's kind of ruined, and the screen, is blurring, glitching kind of, and the bomb is like ticking, basically. Pedro wants to go, but Wanda says, no, we can't. And then it goes back to Wanda. Wanda gets pulled out from under the bed or whatever, and Agnes and her are there. And Wanda just thinks that the missile just happened to not go off. The bomb just happened to not go off. Oh, and it's a Stark bomb, which we already know. We know that, a Stark bomb is what blew up her parents. So I just want to get to a couple lines that it's just funny stuff, but I loved when Agnes said, loud, isn't he, about Pedro when he first walked in. And then, Pedro's like, sitcoms, why is it always sitcoms, or something like that. I thought that was really funny, and, kind of meta, because a lot of fans of WandaVision maybe weren't fans at first, were probably wondering that as well, and we're all wondering, like, why the sitcoms, and we get that answer in this episode. So anyway, we're back out, Agnes and Wanda are talking. Wanda just thought, like I said, the missile didn't work. She just thought the bomb didn't work. But it's revealed that she had magic before getting experimented on and tested on with the stones. She had the powers before, and it kind of brings up the question, did Pedro also have those powers before getting experimented on? It'll be interesting if we ever get that answer, but she's had powers. So I think she was more so born with some type of ability. But one of the things that I definitely liked in this scene, when young Wanda and young Pedro under the bed, she says to herself, you find out at the end of the episode it's just a dream. None of it's real. Which can also go back to what Norm said. He said none of it's real when about the email on the screen a couple episodes back. But she said none of it's real. She's hoping obviously that it'll just go back. She has that, childlike wonder about sitcoms and, TV, and she's trying to maybe, make her brother not as worried. So now they go back to Hydra, which was like a scene, because it's like, oh no, she had such a bad time there, such a bad experience, and now Agatha, what she said, it's like medicine, dear. She takes her back to this Hydra, because she doesn't have the full answer. Agatha wants to know why Wanda started this and how she started it. She doesn't have the full answer yet, so she goes to Hydra. Wanda is, on this, in this room, and this, the stone comes up in front of her. She sees a silhouette, which I loved this scene. It was epic. She sees a silhouette of Wanda, but as Scarlet Witch. So the Scarlet Witch, you can know it's the costume and everything. She sees a silhouette. She gets flown back. Now, these security guards did not see this on the tape. They could not see this on the tape. They just see her walking forward a little bit and then falling. She's back in her cell watching sitcoms. So you see in all these past, memories that we're going through, she's watching sitcoms. Sitcoms are somewhat important to her. They're what she wants her reality to be. They are a better reality about than what's really going on in the real world. Then I really liked the shot. The TV cuts off and it's past Wanda, but in the background you see Agatha and present Wanda. You see them in the reflection of the screen as well. Agatha says, I have a theory, but I need more. And it's like, don't we all? We all need more of WandaVision. Every week we're coming up with theories upon theories upon theories. We get our expectations up. We come up with different, explanations for different hints and different clues and different words and just different scenes that we see, symbols that we see. We come up with all these theories, but we need more, just like Agatha says. Then they go back to the Avengers compound. This is somewhere after Age of Ultron, kind of, because her brother had just died. She's watching Malcolm in the Middle in her room. You see another thing, she's watching a sitcom, Malcolm in the Middle, which was the basis of an episode a couple episodes back. Vision walks in, and this is just such a cute moment, such an adorable moment. You see their love blossoming before your eyes, And it makes it all so real, more real, because this show made us care about Wanda and Vision more. I know it made me care more about them. I've always liked their characters. But Wanda, to be honest, is becoming one of my favorite MCU characters. It's because of this show. It's just great. This is just a great, character study of her psyche, kind of. And I really hope that the finale next week, pays off in a great way. So this is a cute, a funny, a charming, yet heartbreaking at times kind of scene as Vision and Wanda talk about grief and love and her brother. And Vision has just an excellent line. So first she says, the only thing that would bring me comfort is bringing him back, Pedro. And then he's talking about how he never had anyone, so he's alone. He never felt, that. But he says, what is grief if not love persevering? Just a great line. I loved it. It's a very surreal kind of line. And it's executed well. And this is just a very cute scene. And then and Vision laughs at something on the screen, and he's like, oh, sorry, and she was like, no, that was funny. He's like, that was funny, wasn't it? It was really good. I really enjoyed this scene. And there's some heartbreaking scenes. As a matter of fact, I would say, I don't know if anyone agrees with me, I think this episode is one of the most emotional, has some of the most emotional scenes in the MCU as a whole. I really think that it's just a greatly executed episode. And then I think we get a scene that everyone was waiting for, that I think we all expected to get. It's so episodes back, remember when Hayward shows this, the security footage of Wanda breaking into Sword and stealing Vision's body. We find out she never took Vision's body. So Hayward was lying. Obviously, we knew Hayward had something sketchy going on with him. So he was lying, and she never stole his body, but we see that scene at least. She meets Hayward. She really just wants his body for a funeral, and I actually believed her. And Hayward questions her, and she's like, excuse me. But she wants Vision, for a funeral for not only him, but for herself. And Hayward's like, no, I can't take, but you can say goodbye. And he says, it's not yours. He's not yours. And seeing Vision apart was actually very sad. And you see his head, and it's what we saw kind of the Vision zombie a few episodes back. And it's sad. It's actually tragic. It was kind of heartbreaking. You kind of feel for Wanda. She's seeing someone she loved torn apart, literally. She breaks, through the glass. She goes down like we saw in the security footage. She does not take him. But she goes up to him, and this is... I almost cry. So she says, I can't feel you. She's breaking down kind of, and she's like, I can't feel you. I can't feel you. To Vision's dead corpse. And it's just such a heart, wrenching scene. Such a greatly executed scene. A sad scene. I think one of the most emotional scenes I've seen in the MCU, which is just great. And Elizabeth Olsen just does it to almost perfection, I think. She's just really good in the show. I definitely hope that her and other aspects of the show and other actors and actresses, I hope that they get some award, consideration, at least some attention come award season. So she goes out to her car now, and I like that her car was red. I know but it's like her jacket, like Scarlet Witch, her car was red. Red is very important in this show. But there's an envelope on the side, on her front seat. We get to see it, like the camera kind of stays on it for a second. She drives off to Westview. We see, all the other citizens that we've seen throughout the episodes. A few of them, we don't see all of them. And we see Dottie's husband, we don't see Dottie. We see, Mrs. Hart. And then we get to where Vision and Wanda's house has been, but it's not built yet. The envelope is revealed to be... So Vision bought her this property. They must have planned this. I don't know when this would have happened, but they must have planned to move to New Jersey and just, be a happy family. There's a note with the heart around it, like the heart kind of on the calendar from the first episode. And I think there was a heart in the Modern Family title sequence, or the circle and the 10. I forget. There's a heart, and it says, to grow old in V. And, it's a very emotional scene. And this is when Wanda breaks down. She breaks down, she's crying, and then she, not blows up, but, her powers blow up. And the house gets built through her powers. And then another blast, and the hex is formed, and you see all these things changing to the 50s aesthetic. And then Vision starts forming from her powers from her. She's like molding Vision from nothing, basically. Well, from her powers, but she doesn't have the body. So she's making kind of her own, and he's back in the black and white, clothing aesthetic. She's at first she's in the present aesthetic, and then she steps forward, and you've seen this in clips, I think, but she steps forward, and she's Wanda from the 50s episode. He says, "Wanda, welcome home." And then, should we stay in? And then sits down on the couch. I was going to be so mad if this episode ended there. Like it ended in the first episode, where they just sat on the couch. I thought it was going to end there. But I'm glad it didn't. Not that that was a good ending for that. But anyway, then we get to President Wanda. She's standing behind them, and then they kind of disappear, and you're on a TV set. We're on a TV set. And then Agnes claps from the audience, and then disappears. Purple smoke. Then you hear Tommy and Billy yelling. Wanda runs out. It's like offset. It's like off stage. She runs off stage in the middle of the street. Agatha is just floating up with full costume on, by the way. Looking menacing and scary. Just, very intimidating and very villain. Like a villain. She has Tommy and Billy with her magic, by the necks, kind of. She's pulling them back. She's holding them still. They're like, "Mom, help, Mom, help." She's like, "Don't worry, baby." She only says baby, but she says it's going to be okay. Then it's going to be okay, baby. It's going to be okay. So then we get a really, intense scene and a really epic scene. Because wait a minute. We get a name drop. Agatha is like, "I know what you are. You have no idea how dangerous you are. You're supposed to be a myth. A being capable of spontaneous creation." And then she's like, "And here you are, using it to make breakfast for dinner." Wanda's like, "Let go of my children." "Oh yes, your children, and Vision, and this whole little life you've made. This is chaos magic, Wanda. And that makes you the Scarlet Witch." Oh, we get, the first time in the MCU, her name is dropped, her superhero name, who we know Wanda Maximoff is, the Scarlet Witch. It's finally dropped. And I don't believe there was a standby, please stand by at the end of this episode. But yeah, so there was no please stand by. Chaos magic is the name of a magic so powerful that it was thought to be non-existent by even the Sorcerer Supreme himself. This magic can manipulate, warp, and reconstruct the very fabric of existence and reality to the user's very whims, and bring about total destruction to the cosmos. We get the name drop, which is great. Really good ending in this episode, but we'll get to the mid-credits scene now. So Hayward's at his little base outside the Hex. And they're like, "We're ready to launch, sir." Great. So remember a few episodes back when they shot that missile in, and then Wanda brought it out and it was still glowing with her powers. So they're using that to power the Vision body, White Vision. And they're using that to power him. So then we get White Vision. He kind of comes alive. Look at his hand, and we don't know. We don't know if he knows that he's Vision, the Vision we know. If he's someone bad, someone good. We don't know what he remembers, or if he doesn't remember anything at all. So we don't know anything, but that sets up greatly, I think, for next week, which I hope is a long episode. Come on, at least give us an hour without credits. So an hour and 8 minutes, whatever. So I'm really looking forward to the finale, and I really hope that it pays off. I love this show. I have a lot of faith in Jack Schaeffer and the cast, the crew, everyone. I really have a lot of faith in this show. I think it's been brilliant so far. Yeah, last episode was a little bit of a letdown, but I still liked a lot about it, of course. The Luke Skywalker level cameo, it'll be interesting to see who that is. I'm really looking forward to next episode. I just cannot wait, and I cannot wait to do my last deep dive on an episode of WandaVision. And then, of course, like I said, I'm going to do it on the Marvel's Assemble documentary series that's on the making of WandaVision, and then I'm guessing they're doing it for every movie and show. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to doing a full deep dive on the series, and a full a quick video on the series as well. So please keep your eye out for that. It's funny, this was the longest episode, but this was probably the shortest. This is probably going to be the shortest deep dive. Let me know down in those comments. Please let me know if you want me to talk about anything that I may have missed, or my opinion on something, my theory on something. Just comment down below. This is a spoiler review, so you can put spoilers down in those comment sections. I'm looking forward to hearing from you down in those comment sections. What do you think of WandaVision so far, and what do you think is going to happen in the final episode? And are you loving it? Did you not like this episode? Did you love this episode? Let me know. please comment down below, like this video if you have liked my deep dive so far, and make sure you're checking out all of my deep dives. I have some interesting stuff that I cover. Sometimes I do have original theories, actually. So check those out if you haven't and if you're interested. If you're enjoying these deep dives and my content in general, please look around here to see more content. There's going to be something that you might like. And hit my subscribe button. Please comment down below, like this video, share this video with the WandaVision fans in your life. Hit that notification bell, subscribe, and come to the Upside, Dan.